Grits, grits. Mel, kiss my grits. Who said that? Name that show. Okay, I figured out how to make grits in the Instapot. Oh yeah. All right, so I got to tell you a little story before we get into this recipe. About a year ago, I had the great pleasure of meeting Kim Campbell and Nelson Campbell. Kim Campbell is the author of this book, hold on, that's my notes. Plant Pure Nation Cookbook. Yeah, she is super sweet. And Nelson Campbell is the, let's see, what is his title? He's like the top dog, the head chief, the big wheel, the big kahuna, the big enchilada, the mastermind. Oh, that's it. Yeah, Nelson Campbell is the mastermind behind Plant Pure Nation, the film, the website, the movement, all in general. They are both such an awesome couple. I love them, and they love me. Anyways, in Plant Pure Nation cookbook, there is a recipe in here called Nelson's Grits. And when I met Kim and Nelson last year, Nelson shared a little story about that recipe, and that story, which I happen to have on recording, is at the end of this video. So after we get finished cooking grits, hang tight, and at the end I got a little treat. Y'all can see Nelson and Kim and me hanging out on the couch and yucking it up. It's really fun. And at the end of that, Kim is going to share what she does with leftover grits. Oh, and I took that tip and I went and made leftover grits. Oh my gosh, I did what she said to do with the leftover grits. I'm not gonna say what to do because you're gonna have to watch it all the way to the end. Okay, so let's start cooking grits in the Instapot. The full recipe for Not Nelson's Grits is posted back on my website, simpledailyrecipes.com. There's a link, a direct link to it in the video description below. We're gonna heat up the Instapot using the saute mode, which automatically goes to normal heat. Did you know there's 3 heat settings for the saute mode? Yeah, it's less, normal, and high, or more. Anyways, while that's heating up, we chop up 1 medium onion. I like to use yellow onions. And then I used 1 fresh garlic clove, minced. And the original recipe called for a whole jalapeno, but this jalapeno was pretty spicy, so I just cut it in half and seeded it and finally minced half of a jalapeno pepper. Jalapeno onion, that sounds like an interesting hybrid. Next comes a poblano pepper, which I just want to seed that and mince that up. Or dice, that's what we want to do. We want to dice. Let's use our proper cooking terminology, shall we? Oh yeah, smells so good too. Okay, and then I had a really large red bell pepper. So this is way more red pepper than I was going to use for these grits. So I just decided to use half of a really large red bell pepper. But if you can find a normal size red bell pepper, use a whole one of those. And then dice that up. And what I want to do in the inner pot here is I just want to water saute all these vegetables. When I first throw them in, I leave the inner pot dry and I just let the vegetables kind of brown up, and then when I start to see things, really get brown, I start adding a couple of tablespoons of water, and then I water saute the vegetables until they're tender, and it doesn't take very long. Look at there. Now my onions are nice and translucent, and I'm ready to move on to the grits. Okay, now I'm adding 4 cups of really hot water, and the way I got that hot is I just used my tea kettle. I put 4 cups of water in my tea kettle, and I'm gonna let my tea kettle heat it up, and then I threw it into the iPot that way. And that's just saving me a little time from having to wait for it to come to a boil in the iPot. All right, next I'm adding 1 cup of grits. I just happen to have white grits, but there are yellow grits. Either one works, doesn't matter. And when you pour in the grits, you want to kind of go slow and use a whisk to whisk those grits up so you don't get any lumps. Now, the next thing I want to do, I wanted to lower the heat, and I was pretty sure of what was going to happen, but I went ahead and I wanted you to see this. To change the heat on your saute, you have to cancel the saute mode and then turn the saute mode back on and use the adjust button to move your heat settings, okay? And so you see I said cancel, and then I turned the saute on, I hit adjust, it went to less, and I'm gonna see what happens from here. So right at the first minute, I've got some good boiling going on, and the grits start to thicken. They don't really take very long to thicken, but what I'm concerned about is that after my grits start to thicken, the less or the low heat setting on the saute is still pretty hot. And I have learned from experience, I've had my Instapot for 2 years, I have learned that things can still burn even on that low saute. So I've got a trick. Now, while I was kind of waiting for things to thicken up, this was the great time to add salt and pepper. In the original recipe, Kim, suggested throwing in some nutritional yeast. So if you like adding that to your grits, go for it. This is the time to do it. I just thought I'd go with salt and pepper. A couple of drops of liquid smoke would have been good right here too. That would have been awesome, but I left that out. All right, this is like, seriously, like 1 whole minute later. Things are starting to thicken up, and you see all that bubbling that's going on? Well, these grits need to cook for about 5 to 10 minutes, and that's way too high and too hot. I know my grits are gonna burn. So here's what I did. I canceled the saute mode, and then I pressed that keep warm button again, and the keep warm setting is hot enough to keep things that need a low simmer simmering, okay? And then I'm using the timer on the Instapot here. It naturally counts how long something's been keeping warm, and I use that timer to keep track of how long my grits are in the pot. And then you see I covered the grits with the glass lid. Here's 5 minutes. This is after 5 minutes. My grits look thick and creamy, but when I tasted them, they still had a little bit of grit to them. So I went ahead and went another whole 5 minutes. All right, there you go. See, I'm at the 9 minute mark, 10 minutes. They have been on keep warm. Remove the lid. Look at that, nice and thick. Oh my goodness. So good. And when I tasted them, they were deliciously creamy. I could eat those all day long. And this is also a good time to taste it for salt and pepper. If you want to, wait and put salt and pepper on at the end, you can do that, or add extra spices. That's completely up to you. They're your grits. Now, because my grits were really white and they didn't look very golden, I did something a little different. I took a piece of fresh turmeric that was about 2 inches long, and I used my microplane, and I finely grated that turmeric right over my grits. Now, I've been told by several people that when you have fresh turmeric, it's good to have it with like black pepper, things that have capsicum in them. And so I thought, well, here, what better dish to add fresh turmeric to? So here you go. I'm just stirring it in, and 2 pieces of 2 inches of fresh turmeric peeled did not change the flavor of my grits at all, but it made it this beautiful, happy, sunshine yellow color. I'm so happy I did that. There you go. Oh, it's so good. You're gonna enjoy this recipe. Okay, there you go, look at it. So delicious. Now, for the leftover grits, stay tuned. I happen to have a video showing what to do with these leftover grits. But first, I want y'all to catch my video, my time with Kim and Nelson. Be sure to thumbs up this video and share it out with your friends, and share it out to all your iPod brothers and sisters on the Facebook groups. I appreciate it. Look, it's Nelson and Kim Campbell. Somebody made Nelson's grits. Who was that? From Plant Pure Nation. I bought a bag of grits so I can try it.
All right, so
okay,
I have
here
to.
he goes. Going to complain about the grits again.
No, we just went to a function earlier today, and it was a potluck, and someone made Nelson's grits. So I had to tell them the truth. The truth is that I have my own grits. I have my own grit recipe, and Kim took it and added vegetables to it. Now I love vegetables, but they don't go in grits. Okay, so she added vegetables.
You were fancy.
Yeah, and she left out the tahini and a couple little things. So it's really Kim's grits, but she wanted to put my name to it.
So. You have to be healthier than yours.
Yeah, But maybe it's, you said Nelson's grits because I love grits.
Because you love grits and I don't really like
I grew
grits.
up on grits.
But
So.
let me tell you what you can do with leftover grits. Put them on. Take a cookie sheet and spread them out on a cookie sheet. You can make polenta with it.
Yeah.
And you can slice them into. I just made polenta
fries.
Ooh.
And then I covered them with some herbs and some breadcrumbs and put them in the oven and baked them. Oh my goodness, they were delicious.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's really good.
They're delicious.
I hope you're still with me. Now, right after you pour off your morning grits, I want you to take all the leftover grits and I want you to pour them into a rectangular dish that's lined with some parchment paper, okay? And then spread it out evenly and get enough parchment paper so that you'll be able to lift it up out of your rectangular container when you go to make the polenta fries, okay? So don't forget to do that part. And then I want you to go over and watch the next video called Turn Leftover Grits into Pretty Polenta Cakes. No, that's not what I'm calling it. What am I calling it? Turn leftover grits into baked polenta cakes. That's what I'm calling it. Yeah, it's the next video after this. Okay, we're gonna get it on. We're gonna make some grits today. Gonna make some grits today. Is my video on? I'm recording. This is good. Grits, grits. Mail, kiss my grits. Who said that? Name that show. How'd that song go? Early to rise, early to bed. I can't sing, it's okay. And in between I cooked and cleaned and went out of my head. Going through life with blinders on, it's tough to see. I had to get up, get out from under and look for me. There's a new girl in town and she's looking good. There's a fresh freckled face in the neighborhood. How's it go? There's a new girl in town with a brand new style. She was just passing through. But if things work out, she's gonna stay a while. Bum, 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 bum. Blast from the past, baby. I just told off on my age. Who cares?